to my first of 4 videos. My videos are going to cover the basics of beach detecting in the northeast of England. I'll be looking at particular wave patterns, sand patterns, weather patterns. I'll be looking at the different types of artifacts that you can find on the beach, and I'll cover the basics today of the 3 machines that I use. There are a number of machines on the market. The 3 that I use are the Garrett AT Pro, the Seascope, and I also use a Garrett Euro Ace for dry sand. The Garrett AT Pro is the machine that I use for most of my detecting, and that's the one that I concentrate pretty much week in and week out, and I'll explain the reasons for that during the course of this video today. I started metal detecting about 6 years ago. I predominantly work one section of beach close to where I live, which is about 5 minutes from here, and I've really got to know that beach, so I can certainly pass on my knowledge as to how that beach changes constantly during the course of a month. In fact, it changes on a daily basis. Depending on the weather, I choose my days very carefully when I go detecting, and that has a lot to do with my rate of finds, which you will see on the table during the course of this video. I find artifacts generally from the 1700s right up until modern day. I haven't found any coins that go beyond or below 1700 to date on the beach. I'm sure they're there, and at some point I might be lucky enough to find one. The videos in series 1, 2, 3 and 4 will concentrate on types of machine to use, conditions. I'll look at weather, and I'll also take you out on some beach excursions and show you what to look for on a beach to improve your success in terms of the rate of finds. I'll also show you how to find what's called a coin line, and we're looking at that certainly in the videos that follow today. Today is all about an introduction. It's the equipment to use if you're getting started, and generally the equipment that I use in my beach hunting on the beach. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the 4 videos that follow in this series. This is the Garrett AT Pro. This is the machine which I use the most when I'm on the beach. You can hear it beeping away because of the targets on the table. You can see over here it's got quite a complicated, if you're not new to metal detecting, faceplate to look at. But essentially this is the top of the range in the AT Pro series. It's a machine which has a number of different settings. The one I use the most, I'm not going to go through all of them today, the one I use the most is the Coins Pro mode. I use that with my iron discrimination turned on. I have my iron audio turned on, which allows me obviously to hear the iron if I pass over it, and it's specifically obviously tuned in to finding coins. It's the machine I use the most for the simple reason that essentially it's easy to use, with a little bit of background reading and adjusting the side fields, which you can see there on the side of the screen there where it's got coins. I can set a particular type of searching or sound that I want to have come through my earphones, and it's switch on and away I go. It also has the ability to ground balance. Comes with a set of earphones. You can see them over there. I'm still using corded phones. A lot of detectorists obviously use wireless now. I've also, if you have a look at the end of my coil, I've reinforced the outside edge of my coil, because working the beach you often come across little stones and things which tend to nick and knock against your coil. So you can have a look at those there. You can see I've just put some tape around the edge of that to give it some extra protection. Underneath my coil there is a coil cover which obviously protects the most vital part of the machine, which is obviously the coil itself. And pretty much that's it. I also have a coil cover which I keep on my machine to keep it nice and clean and keep the salt and the sand off it. And I tend to generally only hunt mostly areas which are wet to semi-wet. I don't actually go into the salt itself much. I'm more of a semi-wet detectorist to dry sand detectorist, and I'll talk about that in a moment too, as to why I follow that pattern on my beach in terms of my finds. So that's the Garrett AT Pro. These retail probably around about £600 I think at the moment. I know Garrett is currently looking at bringing out a new range of Pro machines. We don't know much about that at the moment, but I'm sure it's in the pipeline. We'll hear probably towards the end of the year. So that's the Garrett AT Pro. As I say, mine's well covered, has a cover on the control box as well, and I'm still using corded earphones. I haven't gone wireless yet. I'm quite happy with the arrangement of using corded phones. They don't get in my way when I dig, and I've just used that from day one. So that's the AT Pro. I say, if you want to go into these into a lot more detail, there are other videos on YouTube specifically talking about the uses of the AT Pro. I found this an easy machine to use. I started with this machine and the C-Scope. It didn't take me long to get the hang of it. It's easy to use. As I say, the control face is pretty standard, and it's straightforward and easy to follow. If you ever have problems on the beach where you can't get the machine to sit properly and to be stable because you're getting a lot of false signals, then I simply notch down my sensitivity 2 bars down. You can see the sensitivity clearly written over there, and I simply notch that down. It's got a minus and a plus. Take 2 bars off and ready to go. I very seldom have to do that. The machine is pretty stable on the beach. It's a great machine, and as I say, most of my finds have been made with this machine on the beach. So it's definitely a machine that can work on the salt, and it's definitely a machine that works on my beach, which is obviously a beach in the northeast of England. Right, the second machine that I'm going to show you is the C-Scope. This is a CS4PI. It's a pulse induction machine. You can see it's got a very different set of controls. Very basic, very easy to tune and set up. I won't go through it. It's also got a target and a pinpointing finder when you go over a particular target. This machine works best when the beach is relatively clean. And I say that because it will pick up all types of metal. So you don't just want to be picking up lots of iron all day. So if you're going for targets and a cleanish beach, this is a great machine to use. It's got great depth. It's relatively inexpensive. It's light. It's easy to use. 2 or 3 buttons. Again, there are many videos on YouTube looking at how to tune and to use this machine. It doesn't take long, and you're basically good to go. Both this machine and the AT Pro run on standard batteries, so you can chop and change and carry a spare set with you, and they're very easy to use. So that's the C-Scope. Also comes with a coil cover. You can see over here at the bottom is slightly different. It's a circle, obviously there's a big plastic plate to protect the coil. So that's the C-Scope. And that's the machine that I started with before I went on to the Pro. And I only changed because of the fact I was digging lots of iron. But I did find some really good coins with it. And I do use it when I find a beach that hasn't got too much iron on it. I prefer to use it because of its depth. The last machine I'm just going to talk briefly about is my backup machine. This is my Garrett Euro Ace. Looks very similar to the Pro. The control box is slightly smaller. Similar type functions, pretty much turn on and go, easy to use. However, this machine is not good on wet sand, meaning it'll give a lot of false signals, and you'll have to turn the sensitivity down, so you're going to lose some depth when you detecting. But on dry sand, this is as good as any other machine. It does the job. This is my backup machine and my travel machine. Of the 3, it's the cheaper. Of the 3, I also keep a extra reinforced edge to the coil cover. It's obviously right. The other thing that you will need is a little pinpointer, which is this item over here. You use this on the beach when you are detecting. As you can see, as I bring it closer to objects, it sends out a signal and vibration. This helps you locate small objects in the sand very quickly. There are 2 types on the market in the Garrett range. There's the waterproof one, which is this one over here. You also get a wireless version now, which vibrates. This one's not the wireless version, but it is waterproof. And this is very good for detecting and finding small objects that are buried in the sand. You'll need a fine. Right, so the last part of the video for today, I'm going to go through just some of the other basic equipment that one uses when you are out on the beach. Obviously, we've talked about the pinpointer, which is very useful for digging in the sand and obviously locating smaller objects. Absolutely invaluable tool, very, very handy to have. You have a fines pouch with a holder and a sheath for your pinpointer. Some people have these attached on a cord. For my type of digging, I always just keep it secure in there. Never lost one to date. It sits very tightly. Fines pouch is used for storing your fines, and I also normally carry a small Tupperware box which can place coins in or other objects. Gloves, very important on the beach. Often could be dirty or sharp glass in holes and things that you dig. Important to have your hands covered. Keeps them clean as well. I use neoprene gloves. These, you can see, have got sort of a rubber inside and then sort of the neoprene outside. Very good for all weather. Keep your hands warm, especially in the winter. Always carry the old sunscreen just in case it gets hot. Sunglasses, very important to have some sunglasses with you. The ones I use have sand guards on them. If the wind is blowing, you don't want sand in your eyes. Also very handy, obviously, on the beach. And then just a normal small rucksack, which I carry obviously a water in. I normally carry a small magnifying glass for looking at coins and things, different types you can get. Keep those in my bag, and I have a second strap which I've added to my bag, which stops the bag from flipping around when you're digging. Just a little tip: you'll find if you wear a rucksack when you're digging with your spade, often it flips around. I discovered that early on, but if you put an extra strap across the chest, stops the bag from sliding around when you're digging, and then pretty much you're good to go. Obviously good boots if you are working in wet sand, and get out there and try and see what you can do. The more you obviously out there and the more you kind of get to know your machine, the better your fines rate will increase. As I say, what's on the table here has been found over the last few years, but it's all from one beach. You can see there's a number of coins covering all ages from the early 1700s right up until today. So it's out there, and you need to obviously just get out there and practice. I'm going to go through in my other videos the lie of the actual beach and looking at how the water affects and the wave action affects and the movement of the coins on the beach, and also how that obviously impacts your success rate. But we'll be looking at that in videos 2, 3 and 4. Thanks very much for watching.